the credit card. Spend a little time on debtreductionlessons.com and you're going to think that credit cards are the devil. But credit cards don't have to be all bad. What I'm going to do, I'm going to give you 7 tips for responsible credit card use so that, well, you don't end up getting burned by credit cards. So let's get started. Tip number 1, never charge more than you can afford. Now I know this seems obvious, but it's easy to get a lot more credit than, well, you can afford to pay back. And if you find that this applies to you, that you do have more credit than you can pay back if you spend it all, well, then just be careful. Don't go on a big spending spree and rack up more than you can pay back. Number 2, pay back the entire balance at the end of the month. Again, I know this seems obvious, but most people don't do it. It may start out just small. You may think, well, just this month I won't pay it back. And, maybe next month, you just a little bit more, and eventually you're making just the minimum payments on your credit cards. And that's not good at all. Alright, tip number 3, never use your credit cards to pay off other debts. Using your credit card to pay bills, basically, or any other debts that you can't afford to pay back in a given month may seem like an okay idea, but all you're really doing is digging yourself a much deeper hole. Don't do it. Number 4, keep track of all your credit card related purchases. Now I know this one's pretty simple. You simply, keep on top of all the money you're spending on your credit card so that you can be sure that at the end of the month you'll be able to repay everything. Number 5, always pay before the due date, or use online bill pay to make sure that your payments always arrive on time. Excuse me. Personally, I always pay online since I know that my payments won't get lost in the mail that way. But if you do send your payments via mail, make sure you send them at least a week in advance. Also, it's a good idea to set up an auto pay so that if your account does, or if you do forget to send in a payment one month, the money will automatically be withdrawn from an account so that you don't get hit with any late fees. Tip number 6, don't use credit cards for every single purchase. It can be tempting to give up cash completely and just use your credit card for everything. And if you really hate carrying cash, then carry a debit card. That way at least you're spending money you already have. Otherwise, if you're using credit cards for everything and you're carrying a balance, that $20 DVD you bought might end up costing $30. That $50 grocery bill could really end up costing you $80. So really, only use your credit card if you have to. Alright, last tip, number 7, before you make any big purchase, think about it. Now, it's easy to use a credit card for impulse purchases, and if you have a big enough limit on your account, you could even buy something like a plasma TV on an impulse. However, you really want to think about this before you go ahead and pull out the plastic. You want to ask yourself, can I afford to pay this back within a month? Do I really need this item? Would it be better for me to just save up and pay cash? And usually the answer is yes, it would. Alright, well, that's the 7 tips for responsible credit card use. Follow them and you shouldn't have any trouble with your credit cards.